All right, welcome back. We have got a great episode of Dear Baseball Gods today. So we have Morgan Depew is my guest today. Morgan is the volunteer assistant at Jacksonville University in Florida. Morgan,
Home of the Dolphins.
Home of the Dolphins. Which you guys had a really good shirt. I like that shirt. It was a good logo.
The
brand and it had some vents in the back. You guys are Nike school.
Yeah, Nike school. Brand new logo. A lot of rebranding, but overall, really cool shirt I had yesterday.
Yeah,
don't have it on
pretty good
today,
swag.
But
it's been a good time of the year for myself and Lucas. A lot of our college kids are back for their break, so Morgan's here just visiting family because you're now a big-time coach in a sunny state, and a lot of our baseball players, volleyball players, softball players are back in training. So it's good to see everyone and working out. And Morgan, you're still super strong, which is good to see. I'm becoming old and decrepit and weak, so
got back to being
you're
strong.
trending in the right direction. That's good.
Sure.
So run us through your bio real quick. Obviously, I know it, but I think you can tell it probably better than anyone. You've been through a lot and really developed as a player, and now making your inroads into D1 coaching.
Yeah, so, from a playing side, I played high school ball here in Bloomington Normal, grew up here. Always kind of watched a lot of baseball, a lot of college baseball. Went to a lot of Illinois State games growing up, so knew I wanted to play college baseball. And then when I was 16 years old, Dan was working at Extra Innings at the time, and we could have hitting nights there, and he came up to us, and obviously, we were one of the only ones there, so we were kind of serious about baseball. But I looked like I was probably 130 pounds, and
probably less.
Probably
you guys
less.
Can't see our lamp. Probably it's probably not in frame, but you're about as thick as that lamp.
Yeah, I probably had a hunchback. I probably had no bat speed, but Dan could tell I was serious about baseball enough he could lure me into coming in to work out with him, and so throughout my last 2 years of high school, year and a half of high school, I worked out with Dan pretty religiously, I guess.
You're a kid who would show up on days that other people wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
Right. Holidays, days you should be home resting. Morgan would show up.
Dan would kind of spite me to come in because he would tell me that he would be like, "Oh, you really want to play college baseball, but look at you, you're 145 pounds now."
That sounds like me.
So he would pretty much spite me into it, and pretty much it was well, if I don't come in today, tomorrow he's going to just make fun of me. So I may as well just wear it today and come in.
Yeah, this whole episode is going to expose me as a huge bully, so.
It's all right. It worked out. So then I guess as high school went around, I was still a senior, still pretty underdeveloped, so I didn't make a decision until after my high school season was over, so it was into the summer, and I still didn't know where I was going to go to school. It was between a couple of schools. I ended up going to a pretty local junior college. Played there for 2 years. Didn't play great ever, especially to my thought I was going to, but that's beyond the point. Then I transferred to a Division II school and had some opportunities there, but ultimately knew I was going to coach, so whatever. I wasn't going to be a pro baseball player. Figured that out pretty quick. And then started coaching right away. I coached for a year at Lee University, a Division II school down in Tennessee. After that year, I was at St. Leo University, another D2 school, but right outside of Tampa, Florida. And now I'm in my third year of college coaching, and I am coaching at Division I Jacksonville University.
So, first thing we should talk about is number one, the difference between Illinois and Florida baseball. Because we've talked about this on the phone, and there's a huge difference, right?
There's a really big difference. So growing up, our practices in high school are right now is December, I don't even know the date, the 19th maybe?
Yeah.
And I guarantee there is events going on in Florida, tournaments going on in Florida, showcases. So, it's just more year-round for sure. Obviously, the weather is a huge thing, but they're not inside hitting. They're getting more, live at-bats. So, the one big thing, their tools down in Florida, their ability to hit, their hit for power in games, that is a lot better. And some of their baseball instincts are better, but they definitely don't, understand. Pitchers don't understand pitching, which nobody really does. But hitters don't. They just kind of this is how I've always done it. They don't understand why they steal bases. They just do it.
Okay.
But
I mean, you kind of remarked that just like the physicality of players, like not just tools, but I mean, how would you compare and contrast in Illinois versus a Florida-bred?
I think so. In Florida, like it's kind of you get to high school, and because it's so year round, it's like you build yourself from high school, and now strength and conditioning is so it's so open to everybody, and everyone's doing it. So like, all right, you tailor as a freshman, you tailor yourself to year round baseball. Even before that, with strength training towards baseball. So it's, you're really working on, I mean, like your back muscle, your whole legs, wherever your power is going to come from in your core as a freshman, and instead of playing basketball in the winter.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we get a lot of three-sport kids out here, and in part because we have such a small area, you can make, your basketball team even when you're, a little Johnny 5 foot,
or
whatever.
You haven't even touched a basketball since last basketball season.
But in Florida, kids probably don't play as many sports unless they're just like stud athletes.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Just especially with the baseball presence. I mean, it's kind of like the baseball. I mean, it's up there with California and Texas, but it's like the baseball capital of the world. So if you're gonna play baseball, you're gonna do it year round. So there's no point to, not waste your time. It's a bad term, but no point to waste your time with other sports.
Yeah. I mean, what do you feel like kids start to specialize younger in Florida?
I think so. I mean, we have like academies, and there's 8th graders and freshmen where like that's all they think about is baseball. I mean, they're playing in tournaments in November, December. It's like, you're going to play basketball or anything, but I mean, that's just kind of the culture of it, and it is what it is.
I mean, I was talking about this with someone the other day, and it's like, look, playing lots of sports, especially when you're young, I think will help prevent injuries and burnouts and all that stuff and be good for your general athleticism. But playing basketball doesn't make you a better baseball player.
Not one bit.
Unless it's like purely like kind of gangly kid who's just like growing into his body. Like all the agility and running around can be good for him. And you can learn better life lessons or different life lessons from different coaches and different sports for sure. But it doesn't make your swing better. It doesn't make you throw baseballs better.
No.
Or field baseballs better. So I think there's just like a little bit of a misconception. And it's not me encouraging your 12-year-old to give up other sports. That's definitely not the message of this diatribe. But, there's just like something to be said for the amount of contact time and like specific practice for one thing. Like
no
gymnasts
doubt.
to do it. Like, you can't be an Olympic gymnast if you don't be an Olympic gymnast since you're 10.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. It's such a double-edged sword talking about when you should specialize. If you want your kid to be mediocre, play all the sports forever.
Yeah.
But at some point you have to, and it's just different for everybody when you have to give it up.
Right.
And it's not clear when that is. It's really just like a very personal thing. Like, do I want to do it that way? Do you love the sport enough to like only give it to baseball? Like, are there other things that football or basketball or whatever, badminton, like would teach you that you could use? Because again, I have some kids in our program that, like, I'm like, look, I'm happy you're playing basketball. I think it's gonna be really good because there's stuff on your baseball skill side that I don't think you're picking it up because your athleticism just like needs to just like you just need to be challenged athletically.
Right.
So I know that when they come back from like a lot of basketball or football, they're probably going to be more apt in baseball. They're going to be able to pick up stuff better and like make adjustments, and just like their body's still just
your athleticism kicks in and
developing.
You get better. Yeah.
So like that's a subset of kids. Then there's another subset of kids where it's like, okay, he's not in that boat, but his swing's not very good, and his pitching is not very like whatever. He's just wasting 4 months. And then he starts back up, and he's the same kid he was. So there's a difference. It depends on like what your developmental plan is, I think. And that was certainly not the goal topic of this episode, but who knows where we're going to go today?
Who knows?
Could be anywhere. You got your M&Ms. I got my Twix.
Yeah, M&Ms over here.
But there's people in the gym now. You maybe hear a little background noise, but yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting animal. Just depending on where you live, you get a very different experience.
Right, and we kind of like. Jacksonville, they've had a lot of success getting guys from the Midwest down, from even Minnesota, Wisconsin. So, like, those kids, they can't play baseball year-round, so it's like you guys should play other sports too. So it's not like we're definitely not knocking it, but it's really, really hard to do both and play multiple sports at a high level. So at some point, you kind of have to focus. And as a college coach, it's if we see a kid in the summer and we find out he plays multiple sports. One, it's kind of nice for us because we know he's not going to be super exposed in the fall. And if we like him and like we kind of get to know the kid and baseball is really what I want to do, well then we know he's probably going to make a jump at some point when he just focuses on baseball. But that freshman year he might not be as as ready as somebody that has just played baseball for the whole year, for the whole last 5 years.
Yeah.
So
do you guys look for people who are playing multiple sports, or is it just another thing to note?
It's just another thing to note. It's that, I mean, I don't look at it positive or negative. I mean, if you're a really good basketball player, that means you're really athletic. So maybe you can play. You say you're a shortstop, but you play basketball. Well, that to me that means you can probably play just about every position. So
yeah, and
it's going to mean you're under the radar because you're playing basketball for 4, 5, 6 months out of the year.
Yeah. But is it a situation, so like say you have a kid who's an 18-year-old and he's coming up on the MLB draft and he's like kind of raw at baseball. Like he's like not that good, but he's like throws really hard, runs really fast. He's like has all the tools but isn't real good at baseball. Like the other sports are probably maybe like a factor in the package. Like, oh, we like this kid because if we can mold him in 5 years in the minor leagues, then he might be a star. Like when we get him, he's going to be all baseball. Like so for the draft, that probably makes sense. But does a college have that same attitude where it's you guys don't have as much time? To
we don't. Yeah, we don't have like I mean in the minor leagues if you get drafted out of high school, you probably have.
You've got 4 years. Probably,
yeah, if you have to really screw up to not give yourself 3, 4, 5 years, and they know. You're going to get, I mean, you're going to be seeing 96 every day for however many days now. And so you're going to have to get, it's going to be sink or swim right away. Whereas in college, like, you're right, like, we only have 4 years and really, like,
you don't have, probably in 2, right?
Yeah, you don't have many guys that don't play as juniors that make a huge impact as a senior. Just because you're either going to get a junior college, like, this kid's not ready yet, we're going to get a junior college kid, or a freshman can just compete with them, so I want to play the freshman or sophomore instead of him. I mean, that was my college career. I understand it because
we'll talk about a little bit more. So, when you're a senior, I mean, if they have a freshman who's comparable, it sounds like they're going to give the chance.
Right.
To the
so, I mean, my senior year, I guess, was the big year where it happened, and I got in there. I had a really good summer before. Played with other kids in the league, put up similar numbers, and those were guys that were impact guys on the team. And then the season came, and I hadn't really performed to where I wanted to or where I thought I should, so I underperformed to my standards. But there was a freshman that was similar skills, probably more raw tools, but doesn't have the experience. We were kind of projecting to be just an okay team. We had actually lost 2. We were going to have 2 senior pitchers in our rotation, but they were drafted. So another hit on our team where we got to be a little bit more offensive because we're not going to pitch as well as we would hope or we planned, I guess. And so just the lineup came out and we would compete in practice, compete before, but we'd put up similar numbers, so why wouldn't you play the freshman? We weren't projected to be a super good team, so me being in the lineup had no impact where he was in the lineup for 2 years, and their second year they were a really good team, and he had a ton of experience. It was the other kid that kind of played over me was a junior instead of a senior, so he had another year. And then there was another junior, so there's going to be 2 seniors and a sophomore in the infield that you're going to return, so you're going to get those guys the 200 at-bats that they need.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the priority system. It happens in the minor leagues too. I mean, at some point.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, if you're 30 and you get called up to the big leagues, like, you've got to do really well right away, and if not, they're like, oh, we'll give a 24-year-old that same chance, because if he develops, we'll have him in control of him for a while. So.
Right.
That makes sense. It's still not an easy thing, I'm sure, to go through.
No, it's not. And I mean, it was, but at the same time, we didn't win a lot. We were around a 500 team, and I think we were a game away from the conference tournament. So like every day, it was like, hopefully we win to extend the season. I mean, we all had the common goal, but there were days that was definitely easier than others. You know, you take 2 bad rounds in BP, it's like, oh, thank God I'm not playing today. Like, I would not have done good, but.
Yeah. So do you feel like your journey thus far, do you feel like you're starting to see any kind of light at the end of the tunnel? Like, are you progressing moving up like the way you thought you would?
So I'm definitely progressing as I'd kind of planned. Obviously, I've been coaching for 3 years, and I've coached 2 different summer leagues, so that was good experience. A side note, but to help my resume. But at the same time, like I never planned on only being at my first 2 places for 1 year. So my first year, I got an opportunity to go coach with the coaching staff that I played for as a senior, who I was comfortable with. I really liked the way that they coached, the way that we played, our style, the sense of chemistry and family that like we were trying to build. So it was definitely like leaving my first job to the second job was definitely like promotion. Like it was the right direction for myself and my career. And really, it was really, really weird how like coaching happens and coaching moves. It happened like our assistant got a call in September, and he asked me if I was interested. And at that point, I planned on being at St. Leo for a long time and like eventually kind of getting a master's degree. I was kind of like a coach and waiting for that. But all of a sudden, like the opportunity came about. I was working at a golf course while I was coaching at St. Leo. So I was up at 5 a.m. like 4 or 5 days a week, which is not fun to go from.
Sounds terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible to go from the golf course to straight to practice in like 95-degree heat. So you're outside all day. So then I got an opportunity to make pretty much the same amount of money at a higher level and a pretty good program, a program that's on the upcoming, and hopefully we're able to have another good year. So it's just happened. It's weird how it happens. They always talk about it's who you know and everything. And like, really that was my career so far, was who I knew put me in the right place. And at the same time, like they knew it was the best decision for me. And it was really hard to leave them because we were close. We had a really good year last year at St. Leo, way better than expected. And we kind of, recruiting all summer long for St. Leo. I never planned on leaving. So it's like these guys, I'm going to like coach them and developing relationships with them. And then all of a sudden you're gone and you have no relationship with them or never talk to them again. But that's part of it. And especially being young, I don't think it's definitely not the first time I'm going to move in September, and definitely not the last place I'm going to coach at.
Yeah. And I think the goodbyes thing, like I've talked at length about, I don't know, goodbyes. It's just the sports world are full of them.
Yeah.
And I think everyone over time learns, like, you just can't drag it out.
Yeah.
It's just be like, look, this is like, you might be cut the next day. I might be traded the next day. We could all be fired. Like, there's just a lot of turnover. And
it's part of
the
it.
Same as most jobs, but it's, I get where you're coming from, because it's hard. You want to feel like you're building something and then
so
adios.
And I mean, I think the way that kind of the attitude, and I've heard other people say it, is each day you just kind of put your head down and work, do your job, and I mean, plan on being there. You don't think about the next job. If you start thinking about the next job, you're going to be not committed to the team, and it's going to be noticeable, and it's not the right way to do it. So you just plan on taking it day by day and putting everything you got into it, and then whatever comes up, that's usually when the good stuff comes up. So
yeah, that's fair. So your duties as a volunteer assistant at the D1 level, take us through them.
So I mean, my big thing, not like super baseball related, would be like the camp stuff. That's how I get paid. So as a volunteer assistant, I'm not allowed to get any benefits from the university at all. So I couldn't get like health insurance. I can't get a salary. It all has to come from outside sources. So I'm not even sure like what those outside sources are, but I know for me, it's camps. So I get X percentage of every camp. I get ample opportunities to do my own clinics, infield clinics, hitting clinics on my own to make more money. But
could you take old baseballs and make bracelets and sell them on Etsy?
Oh, that's a good idea. We have.
Is that an outside source?
That's an outside source.
If they put them in the dumpster, you could just like, someone
take
took
them
out of the dumpster.
And then I'm gonna have to make an Etsy account. Maybe like
some glitter and some glue.
Maybe like an eBay account.
Do you have like a pine cone tree? pine tree somewhere in the outfield? You could just harvest pine cones, sell those, put a little peanut butter on them.
This time of the year, I could dress them up as snowman, paint them up, and
there's a lot of outside the box ways you could do this.
So I'm gonna have to go back. I leave tomorrow morning, and the first thing I'm gonna do is go to the
piece,
go and figure out all the baseballs I can sell on Etsy. And
I mean, you get a big fire sale, like all the mound dirt.
Yeah, well, I need that.
That's cheap.
That's like that's like my second duty is taking care of the field. So I'd prefer to have all the mound clay, so it helps. So in like
all right.
March, I'm not like, Coach, we're out of mound clay.
We'll take pillaging and stealing your field off the table. Okay. So how else do you make money as a volunteer?
I have opportunities to work other camps for people during certain times of the year. The summer is a big one, so I mean, to go work a showcase or work a camp or throw BP, but really that's like my main sources of income right now. So.
Okay, so no more golf stuff?
No more golf stuff. I don't my salary, I wouldn't have time. Like it's more, we only get 3 coaches. They get 2 full-time coaches, a volunteer assistant, and an ops guy, so it's kind of like, hey, you need to be here. So is
that Jacksonville's mandate, or is that like
I would kind of imagine that
thing?
No, it's not. I would just imagine. Yeah, I mean, I would just imagine it's kind of just standard in the business to get things done.
Yeah, that makes sense. So day to day, what are you guys doing? Like you're home right now. What are your kids doing as they're on their winter break?
We have like for our pitchers, they're on like a throwing program. They have a lifting. They're sent home a lifting and conditioning program so they can be in good shape when they come back. We'll have like hitters. I mean, it's kind of just hit every day. Hopefully they can get with people that can throw batting practice, and they kind of will do their own drills. We do kind of like each week of our fall is like a different like focus. So hopefully, I mean, they incorporate 2-strike approach, 3-1 up count approach.
I'm sure they won't.
Yeah, they probably won't. I never did. I never did. So that's a wash.
So that good old boy stuff. You hope kids do. But
yeah.
One or two kids will do it. I'm sure.
Yeah, but so I mean, just hit, get your work in, keep kind of fresh where you are, and then we will actually have like 2.5 weeks of individuals before we have team practice when we get back. So that's when we'll really hammer them. Yeah. We'll hammer them on the 2-strike approach and getting jobs done, executing our offense. So.
Fair enough. And then you guys kick off when?
February 15th is the opening day for Division 1.
God, it's going to be so nice. You're just in Florida.
It's Florida.
We'll just go play outside right now. It's February. We'll just play. It's
and
like 80.
I'm in like North Florida, so like it's not as nice, but yeah, it's still nice. I'm kind of being a snob right now.
I can't even relate to that.
No, you can't.
What is life? What is life?
Hopefully I won't really have to be in like a sweatshirt even. Like I'll just be in my jersey and
I hope on the first
pants.
day of the season a coconut falls off a tree, hits you in the head. Now you're not injured, but it just reminds you to be thankful of all the things. And then maybe the monkey that knocked it off like spits on you or something. Then you're fine. But yeah, I think it's just like a dream world to live in Florida, and at least as a baseball player.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when you're off the field, you're just like sweating and everything. You're just like sticky.
Yeah, it can get pretty hot, but it's also nice when it's November and it's 70 degrees outside. And I also live on the beach, so it's pretty cool. My backyard is the beach.
How did you pull these things off?
From
a 120-pound kid.
Now I'm living on the beach.
Living the dream in Florida.
Division I baseball coach.
Yeah,
so.
It's not terrible.
Not too bad.
So the rest of your path, so you said you didn't necessarily have clear plans, but where do you see yourself in 2 or 3 years? What's the next step? Like if you got a phone call next September,
the next step.
What are you hoping is on the
So the next step would be a full-time job of some sort. Whether it's like a recruiting job. I actually was pretty fortunate. Our head coach, unfortunately for him, had to have a hip replacement, so he wasn't able to recruit all fall. So I was like you can only have 3 people out on the road. Another rule, so I was the third man up. I was the next man up. So I was able to recruit I have Division I recruiting experience on my resume now. Division II, anybody can go out. So I recruited all summer, all fall for all of that. So I've recruited before, but it's not been my job to manage the recruiting budget and all that stuff. So, I mean, the next step would really just be a full-time job. Hopefully, at a school in Florida. I don't really ever want to move, but wherever it is, it is. There's a chance for like a rule change where my job could be like I could start to receive some sort of benefits, but it's kind of up in the air. Who knows if it's going to happen? But
I don't see why they have to stipulate that you like can't get money.
Yeah.
Like if you can hire anyone you want,
right?
Like if Vanderbilt could hire 10 coaches and pay them, why can't you? Pay a volunteer?
Right. Yeah.
I guess maybe there's something maybe we don't know. I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know. I'm not too up to date with the rules. I just know that's what I
write in your contract. Look, I get a bag of peanut M&Ms every week.
That's all you need.
I get a new pair of shoes, and I get all the baseballs I want to make Etsy bracelets.
Etsy bracelets.
Yeah.
They don't have to be new.
I don't want to have to steal them anymore. I wanted to get them.
I want 3 dozen on my desk every day.
Yeah.
Once a week.
Yeah, and then so that's interesting. Okay, so coaching is in full force, and then how do you? I mean, do you like the coaching life? Because obviously, like you said, like I know you have a very serious girlfriend in your life, and you have just like how easy is it to form a normal life as a college coach?
Right. So it's definitely not easy at all. I mean, I have a girlfriend, so I mean, we live together, so it helps with bills and all those things. I only have to pay half the rent to live on the beach.
You make about half a bag of M&Ms?
Yeah. So, but I only get half a bag of M&Ms.
Yeah, that's about your salary.
So, I mean, it's a tough lifestyle, but it was kind of through college, it was what I knew I wanted to do, and I had pretty good resources as to kind of what it was going to be. And I've also been pretty fortunate to have like the support from my parents. My first year, like they still paid for everything. I was still in school, so they understood that. But I mean, if I didn't have that, it was like I wasn't really making any money. I was paying for part of school, so it was like just collecting debt is what I would have done, which would have been impossible. And then I've also been pretty fortunate to have coaches that have been understanding where my coach now, he could just wait until the camp and then give me my camp check, but he gives me like a monthly, so it's kind of like I get paid, but I get paid from him. So like my first 4 months, I was running up a debt to him, but then we had camp, so I'm actually in the black now, so I have credit, and then we'll have another camp, so I'll have a little bit more credit, but
okay.
So I've just been pretty fortunate to be like with the right people where I can make it work. I've been pretty smart. I don't spend a lot of money. I don't spend it out. I don't go out to the bars all night, every day of the week, because I would have no money. I would do that for like 2 weeks and I would be homeless.
Plus you have a serious girlfriend, so you don't actually have any fun. You guys just...
Yeah, I don't have fun. I watch like Hallmark channels on the couch. So...
and I'm sure she's like super supportive because she's
that's the other like moving. So we didn't, when I was in Tennessee, we had a distance relationship, but then I got the job in Florida, so she moved down to Florida with me. So it would be easier. Yes, it'd be easier if I didn't have a significant other to make like decisions to leave Tampa to go to Jacksonville, but at the same time, like it doesn't like. I'm not making any more money, but it's it looks better on a resume. It's a career, it's a step up, it's a good program. But I also had to think of how she was going to be affected. So it was like, it's like we're married, but we're not married. But we have to consider each other.
Do you have the beach house?
But we live on the beach, so that's it's like a bonus.
Got each other.
Yeah, and the beach.
And M&M's and Etsy.
She can probably run my Etsy account. It'd be good.
Yeah.
I might have to give her a percent. She gets a percent.
Well, you're not creative at all.
No,
so
I would need her help. If I was creative, I would have done this 4 months ago, and I would have sold at least 36 bracelets by now.
Yeah, for sure. Morgan's Etsy account on Instagram.
They'd probably think it's a girl, which would maybe help.
You do have a girl's name.
Yes.
Yep. Well, you grew up with his name. Is it more of a boy's name or a girl's name?
I really don't.
I think it's very neutral.
It's very I don't know many Morgans that are girls. I don't know many Morgans that are boys though either. But I mean, there's definitely like a perception when I say my name is Morgan sometimes, or like people will be like, I thought you were a girl, or like they don't know, or like they're just kind of taken by it. But I think it's becoming more like neutral. I mean, like Morgan Ensberg played for the Astros when I was growing up.
There's someone named Morgan Burkhart too. I don't know if that's a baseball player.
I'm not sure. There is a.
I remember Morgan Ensberg for sure.
Morgan Freeman
He's a great actor.
He's a great actor. He has a great voice.
Yes, I love my name.
So, I mean, that's just kind of what I go to.
And names are weird. Like when you go to other countries or you just meet, and that's why I think America's great with all the diversity. Like you just realize a name can be any amount of made-up letters.
It doesn't
like,
matter.
My name could be Morfano. Like it could be whatever it wants to be.
People like they wouldn't even look twice at you. Where
Daniel is pretty nonsensical when you put the letters next to each other, but it's like accepted. But if you go somewhere else, it's like here's my friend Lampy, like, and this is Microphonus. Like, I mean, I don't know. You could just be whatever you want to be.
It's just the name.
People name their kids Apple. It's just like, okay, I'm an apple. So
you don't think twice about it. It's just what you're given. So
yeah, names are strange. So, okay, so, like, take me through the day-to-day activities when you're recruiting. Because I think a lot of people say, oh, I'm on the road all the time. I'm recruiting. But, like, what does it actually look like?
So, usually, and where I'm at, like, geographically, for me, this fall, it meant going to, like, two places. It meant going down to Palm Beach or over to Fort Myers. That was like the two big tournaments. There's like 12 fields over there, so it makes it easy and a headache because inevitably it's going to rain in Florida during the fall. So like you got to figure out what field you're going to be at and the schedule. There's a lot of teams, but usually the games start at 8 o'clock, and usually you have a pretty good idea of what games you're going to start the day. So it's like I got to be at.
How do you get that idea?
Based off of like our previous like recruiting, whether it's we've seen a kid at a camp, we hear about a kid from somebody like Dan or the Senators, whether when
people email you and they send recruiting questionnaires, do those factor into it?
A little bit. Videos, but I think like word of mouth, like coming from somebody like Dan or another travel organization is probably like the best one. Like, hey, this guy is, I don't have any good names, but
make one up. It could be anything. It could be anything.
Let's say his name's Clark.
No, make a better name.
All right. Well, we'll go with.
It could be literally any amount of words.
I'm looking around our room. We can go with
Socklang
tripod. Socklang tripod.
Okay.
I have Socklang tripod, who is on our team. That you
can't make up their last name though. Their last name is given to them. So we'll just refer to him as Socklang.
Socklang. Okay. And he is just as good as, I need another name.
Helmeton.
Helmeton. We had Helmeton last year. He went to LSU, but he committed to LSU, and there's a lot of the same characteristics. And I don't even remember his name.
I'm trying to think of how many human beings on the face of the earth are named Socklang.
There's got to be somebody.
There's got to be someone. So I apologize if I'm not making fun of the name. It's just we made it up because there's some socks over there. We're in our podcasting studio, and I don't know where Lang came from, but Socklang. He's out there somewhere.
And Socklang is just as good as Helmeton. So I mean, usually we get a pretty good idea of that. In the fall, it was more the summer. You kind of identify who you're going after, and in the fall, it was kind of like, all right, we're double checking, triple checking how this kid performs because we want to offer him a scholarship and we want this kid to be a Dolphin. So that was kind of our big goal this summer, and then. So another way, I mean, and then when there aren't games going on, you figure out, all right, this team is pretty good usually. I'm going to go watch them, and it's usually like their freshman. For us, it was like their freshman, sophomore team. So the kids that are 2021s or 2022s, and we're going to go try to identify our next kind of our crop to talk about and start actively, or I guess not, who we want to get in contact with and who we need to be on the workout for next.
Gotcha. Sorry, I know the acoustics of the table, and there was an episode of or Twinsies podcast where I was like really driving home my point, and you could hear it as it like pings through the mic. But anyway, so kind of word of mouth and trusted sources where they can sort of give you like, hey, this guy's comparable to this other player that you already know. That's a good
And
for
me, like my trusted sources, especially in the state of Florida, aren't as much, but our head coach has been in Florida his whole life. He's went to Jacksonville, coached there 2 different occasions, now the head coach. Our assistant coach has been all over the country, so he has numerous amounts of trusted sources from Florida, where he grew up, to the other places he's been to. So there's a lot of, that's kind of the biggest connection, and then ultimately we have to see him at some point.
Yeah.
So
do they, I mean, like I assume video to corroborate that helps
you?
Video, yeah. You go to the field in Fort Myers at 8 a.m., you've got X amount of guys to see in limited time, so you want to know, who do I really want to check out? Like, you have to probably see him for at least a handful of at-bats.
Yeah, you try to see, like one of us will try to see him a game, and then it's, big group, it's a huge group text message like, hey, I need you to go look at him or get a second look at him in a second game. So now you got to figure out, like, kind of just got to tag team and figure out how you're going to get where and who's going to go where and when you got to be at every spot. So.
Okay, and then on, like, the character, like, who is this person as a human being? So how do you find out who Socklang is?
Socklang. So we would call, if he was coming from the trusted source, like, that would be the first, like, hey, like, all right, what kind of kid is he? Another one would be you get a pretty good impression of talking to the kid, how he answers questions, if he kind of acts like he's...
What kind of student do you think Socklang would be?
Socklang is a good student.
Yeah. Chemical engineer.
Okay, we have engineering. That'd work.
Perfect.
That'd be perfect. Socklang.
Building your perfect recruit
and that would
right
be,
now.
That's kind of...
He's 6'9",
okay,
320, 6% body fat.
Wow.
116 mile per exit speed.
It's like a Aaron Judge that's better.
Rocketing up the PBR reports.
Better than Aaron Judge. So, that would be like the first question, like, what does Socklang want to do? Does he want to be a chemical engineer? At St. Leo, we had a lot of kids that are like, I want to be engineering. Well, you should look at our website because we do not have engineering. So, do you really want to be an engineer? It's not going to work here. So, and then you ask your other sources, you talk to the kid, figure out if he answers a question like he's the best person in the world, probably a little bit of a red flag. If he's kind of down to earth, there's, he gives good responses, doesn't seem like a jerk, and all right, you're not it's probably a green flag if we want to go with red and green. And
green
then
flags, got it.
You can talk to his high school coach, you can talk to kind of figure out if he's played with anybody that you currently have on your team to see if he's a good teammate, kind of get those character issues ironed out through that.
Social media,
yeah.
Do you snoop?
I don't really snoop, but if it comes up and it's like, what is this kid posting? Usually, for me, it's more of like a conversation like, hey, we got to stop doing this. Like, you have to be like professional at some point. I think it's kind of known now that you probably shouldn't post stupid stuff, but stuff gets still...
Josh Hader. Ugh.
Yeah, stuff still gets tweeted, retweeted. I think, like, now the big thing is, like, retweets. Like, they'll post something and it has, like, the F word. Like, come on. Like, let's carry yourself a little bit better than that, which I don't care if you cuss at all, but not the best look when your mom can see it. And she probably won't.
Yeah, it's just public perception.
Yeah.
That's not what Socklang should be doing.
No, Socklang.
He's a good kid.
Yeah. But we'll have that conversation and he'll clean it up. He'll delete it all, which we'll figure it out.
Okay. So that's like a day in the life on the road. And then as far as like, so you see a kid, you like him a lot. Do you go talk to him at the ballpark that day if he's old enough? Like, what's the
very
step?
Good question. So if I see a kid at anything, any showcase, camp or game, unless if it's our own camp, I cannot talk to the kid at the facility at all. I can.
Really?
Yeah. So if they do, like, they're breaking the rules.
Even this is if they're like a junior, senior in high school?
I can't talk. If he was committed to us, I could talk to him, but, like, I can't just go up and
Is that a new rule, or how old is that?
That's pretty, like, standard for a while. You can't do that.
That's so weird. How do you then make contact with people?
So, like, now, I can't call a kid until they're a junior in high school, and it's September 1st.
Okay.
So then I can openly have conversation. I still can't talk to you at your field or showcase, at your game, I guess, not your field. But I can call you, like, once we're in the parking lot, I could call you. We still couldn't, like, meet up. That would be against the rules. But then, like, you could always call me. You could always email me, and have contact that way. But, like, now the way the rules are, like, a way to do it would be, like, I would call Dan and say, like, Dan, I'm interested in sockling. Could you have him reach out to me? Could you gauge his interest in Jacksonville University? And if he's interested, reach out to me, which Jacksonville being a Division I school in the state of Florida is probably, like, you probably wouldn't have to tell him anything. Like, Division I, state of Florida, they're interested, and he'd probably be like, I'm in. So there's definitely some, like, hoops and ladders to jump through, but it's part of the business. It helps. Maybe it'll help, like, slow down recruiting, but probably not.
Yeah, I remember when I was the go-between for one of our higher recruits, it was an interesting situation because he was too young. He was a freshman.
Yeah.
So the coach was explaining, he's like, yeah, he can call me, and if I pick up, we can talk.
Right.
But if he calls me and I don't get him, I can't call him back.
That's, like,
So
the
he
other
would
thing.
text
Like,
me.
if I get a missed call, like, and they leave me a voicemail, hey, can you contact? Like, that's, like, the famous one. Hey, just give me a call back. Well, actually, I can't. So, and I can't even, like, text you back, like, call me now. So.
Yeah, for the go-between.
Yeah, you just kind of have to figure out.
Why do you think the rule is that you can't talk to someone at the field?
I'm sure, like, it has to do. So I remember this from, like, junior college. Like, all right, a pitcher throws 94. You probably, like, everyone's going to give him, hey, business card, here's your offer on the back of it. So it's kind of just to stop that. But it's different, I guess. It's not really different to me. It's kind of just how it's always been.
It's like a
for
filibuster rule. So if I'm, like, a small school, I'll just, like, go talk to you and just, like, box you out. I'm like, anyone wants to talk to you.
Yeah, and, like, you're a small school. Like, I really don't, like, no one cares if I'm talking to this kid, but at some point.
Yeah, I guess that makes some sense. It seems curious.
Yeah, and now, like, the way the rule is written, if Sockling, he's a sophomore in high school, all right, I'm interested in Jacksonville University. All right, hey, me and my family are going to come down on a visit to, we set up a tour with admissions. We actually can't even, like, if I saw him in the hallway, I could, like, hey, like, could probably, like, have that conversation, but we couldn't have any open conversation about recruiting. Like, we could say, hey, how are you doing? And that would be the extent of the conversation that we could have. So you can't come into our office. So we'd have to be like, sorry, we can't do this. But
you couldn't talk about, like, favorite crackers that you eat while watching Netflix. Like, hey, you Cheez-Its guy?
I think that would unfortunately
Triscuits
be against
guy?
the rules, but I'm definitely...
Triscuits are against NCAA rules?
No, Triscuits are in play, but talking to him about Triscuits is probably against the rules. But I'm a Cheez-Its guy.
Could be code. I've heard.
Yeah, like
I've heard. University of Texas, they say the word Triscuits. It really means Benjamins, which Benjamins means $100 bills. So this is a very enigmatic code that they have. It converts recruiting lingo into money into then snack type foods. It's like, hey man, do you like Snickers? It's like, I like Snickers. Deal.
Yeah.
What just happened? What just happened?
So that's probably
he's committed to University of Texas now.
That's probably why it would be against the rules. But I'm a Cheez-Its guy.
Definitely. I want to become a college coach now just to make some sort of code. I'm going to make a machine, and then we're going to speak in
snacks.
It's going to be some crazy system that will make no sense, but I'll get all the recruits somehow.
Speaking in snacks,
yeah. Okay, so you then can't talk to the kid. You make contact. How does the offer process kind of go? So, you're interested in Socklang. You're ready to tell him that he's got 24,000 Triscuits waiting at Jacksonville. How does that work?
so usually, like, our recruiting coordinator, head coach, it would not be me. I would not feel comfortable offering the money that I'm not really in charge of.
A lot of Triscuits.
Yeah, it's a lot of Triscuits. So they would have a conversation. We'd kind of figure it out what the dollar amount is. Our biggest thing as a private institution is so you get academic aid. I mean, our school is definitely not cheap, but you get academic aid for having good grades.
Okay.
It's scaled to what your location, in-state, out-of-state, kind of to help offset like the money that a Florida resident gets at a Florida school. So it kind of helps offset it, but an out-of-state kid would get more money to offset that cost. And then your GPA, we don't have to factor in test score, which is kind of nice for us. If it's good, it'll help you. If it's not so good, it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
We'd run that through, to figure out if Sockling, when we talked, he's going to be chemical engineer, I think he said a 3.6 GPA. So he'd probably, at least. So he's, he had a good semester. It's going to go up. So he's probably looking at a higher academic amount. So then we don't have to give him a kid that would be like a 2.8 GPA. We'd probably have to give him a lot more money to help offset those costs.
Gotcha. Okay. And then it's like, hello, Sockling, here is your package. Is there you put the squeeze on him? You've got 31 minutes.
It just kind of depends on the time and depends on what else he has going on. If he has a visit up, you might want to pressure him, how much we value him, how big the offer is. If you give a really big offer, it's kind of like a slap in the face if he's like, I need 2 months to do this. We're like, all right, well, we're not going to hang on to your money for 2 months. We're going to spend your money. So now it's a little different just with how sped up it is. Everyone's for our 2020 class, we have 9 kids committed. So really we're on 2021. So if you're a sophomore in high school, we can't even talk to you, but that's kind of who our next wave of offers is going to go to. So it's
Gotcha.
kind of slowed down for that. But at the same time, we still don't want to have somebody oh, I want to wait until after my junior year. Well, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, so say Socklang commits as a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a pretty bad sophomore year. And then he is a junior. He has a pretty ugly junior year.
Yeah.
And now senior year's coming around, and Socklang hasn't panned out the way you thought. I'm not saying for Jacksonville, I'm just saying in general, what have you heard as far as decommitting and is your scholarship safe for the rest of your...
So I'm not really sure how Jacksonville University would do that. We haven't been in that position as far as I know. We were kind of late with getting these 2020s or 2019, so it was kind of we were doing the two. I wasn't even really a part of it. They were doing the two classes together, so it wasn't super far out to... Mm-hmm. They had a pretty good idea of who the 2019s were that they were going to get. But, it's a really shady thing. I know I heard a story where, I won't mention the school, but they called the kid on Monday night, so he was going to sign his letter of intent probably at school in front of mom, dad, grandma, and maybe his, cheerleader girlfriend that was good looking. And they said, yeah, we're not going to, we had to, we oversigned, we can't sign you. So he had 12 hours notice that he wasn't going to be able to sign at school the next day because they weren't going to send him a letter of intent. So, and that wasn't even really because, I guess maybe necessarily because he hadn't panned out, but they just got other commits from other players, and it's looking at the numbers, and they had too many kids. So they can't.
So just kind of collecting, here's a good one, we'll grab him early, and then 9 recruits later, he's the 10th best recruit.
They probably had they probably needed to go JUCO heavy. They probably lost a kid or two that they weren't expecting to, or a kid gets hurt, so they're gonna have to get a junior college kid to fill in right away. And they were gonna oversign, and they didn't think that it was gonna come down from the draft or kids quitting or graduate enough. So. It's definitely a unfortunate thing, and hopefully it's not a conversation I ever have to be a part of because it makes you look bad. It's just a bad story for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's definitely part of it. It's definitely present, and there's other kids that will choose to go to a junior college instead. Hey, look, we signed 3 other catchers. One of them might get drafted. the other two might not. Like, so you're looking at coming in with 4 catchers, and catchers is probably a bad example. You're probably not going to sign 4 catchers, but
if you did, that's a good example of a place you go. I might be stuck.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, you kind of got to do the numbers. It's not something that we would want to do. Just we don't want to oversign people and have to make cuts, but it's definitely something that happens, and it's the crappy part about being not a head count scholarship sport. But
yeah, okay. So I'm sure there's scenarios both ways where it's not just like the college screwing a kid over, where they're just like, well, they made a mistake, or just like things didn't pan out the way they thought they were going to pan out, and we just like, look, we've got to let a kid or two go.
Yeah,
I know it's going to happen sometimes.
Right, it's not. I mean, it's as much as it is that's going to be that kid's experience, and they put everything to going into X state school or university. But it's also like it's my job. Like if at some point it comes down to being able to support my family, it's like I can't do this. Like we're not going to win. I need somebody that's going to help me win to save my job. So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's definitely a multifactorial thing, and it prepares people for pro ball too if they get there, because hey, you didn't have a good couple weeks. Guess what? You're not on the team anymore.
Yeah, hopefully.
So make sure that locker's clean.
Yeah, you're going on a 7-day road trip. Be the first one on the bus, because
if you're on the bus, you're safe.
Yeah,
you just go back there and hide.
They're probably not going to yank you off
Dan,
the bus.
where are you? Come here.
Nope, not.
Yeah, I fortunately only had that one time. I was only released during my last season. During the season. All the other times I made it to the end. I only got released on the phone once. So one time. So I was fortunate in that regard, but it's a hard thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely.
No matter what level you're at.
Yeah, it helps as a bullpen pitcher that you can at least eat innings, whether you're up 3 or down 5, where somebody's got to do it. But
I don't eat innings, Morgan. I'm the star.
I'm saying
I was a star.
As a bullpen pitcher, you are
you
given
play for like
that
3
option.
minutes and you're very unimportant. Yeah. No, yeah, I got it. I think there's so much money in all these college sports. It's just tough to, like you said, like your job is on the line. You need good players to keep your job, unfortunately. And sometimes just things don't pan out the right way. Like you lose an extra guy from the draft, and now you like really need an outfielder instead of this 4th infielder that you have.
Right.
Like, it's gotta happen.
Yeah. Or the worst case scenario is like the kid, like you get his grades back and he's not like academically, it's not all of a sudden he goes from getting 20 to 5. So now it's like, well, you were getting 20 grand from the school, but then you committed to us and you stopped going to class, or you got D's and F's.
Talk about that for a minute, because that's interesting. So when they look at all the finances with you, and your offer is based on their grades that day,
right?
And then if they
slide down to the slippery slope, they it only, I guess, would like truly affect you. Like your dollar amount isn't going to be as much. So now maybe all of a sudden you can't afford the school. Like you're going to have to take out a $40,000 loan instead of a $5,000 loan or $20,000. That's a big difference. I mean, it's $160,000 in loan versus $80,000 in loans, which, I mean, you're paying that off for a long time.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it's not financially feasible for your family. Or like the worst case scenario would be like you become ineligible. Then we can't even, like, you're under, I don't even know like what would, you'd have to be a pretty bad student to be ineligible, but it happens.
I heard it's like a house arrest, but they take a pencil and they like put it on your arm.
Yeah,
it's like stuck to your fingers.
So you have
to take that pencil off. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to fill in that Scantron.
Just all Scantrons all day.
Yeah.
It's like if all the chimpanzees write enough, they make Shakespeare, which is not accurate. But
so, and then, I mean, if you're ineligible, that usually probably wouldn't come out until like your final transcript. But, I mean, all of a sudden you go from graduating high school or barely graduating, and all of a sudden now you're ineligible, so we can't have you on our team. You can't be on scholarship. You can still go to school, but you couldn't do baseball activities. You would have to do...
Not a sob story, like smell you if you can't go to class.
Yeah.
Like, high school is really easy.
Yeah, not one bit. Like, yeah, high school's easy.
Granted, I shouldn't say it. It's not easy for everyone. I mean, there are a lot of people who genuinely work hard for various reasons.
Go to class.
But go to class, show up,
if you're
put
struggling,
in the effort.
Put in effort. If you're struggling, ask a teacher. They're probably going to give you a benefit of the doubt when it comes to it.
For sure.
And they'll help you. Nobody wants you to fail. They really don't.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And in college, I mean, you have to stay eligible too. And baseball is the hardest sport. I remember there was a pair of twins at my high school, Adam and Andrew Barry. It's your chance to listen to this podcast, but they're extremely bright young men. They went to, I think, Harvard and Yale respectively to play football. And I remember I talked to them maybe a year or two later. I'm like, man, you guys must have a really hard doing Ivy League and doing football. They're like, I mean, we played 12 games. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
They're like, baseball is probably way worse. You guys play
baseball,
56 games
right.
and you practice, and you're at the field doing nothing for hours on end.
For a long time.
Which is true. There's a lot of
Tuesday games. So if you have a Tuesday afternoon class, you're probably missing it every week.
Yep.
You probably, if you're on the road, you leave probably Thursday at some time to get there.
Probably at 11.
To the field at 2, practice.
And then your game's over at 9.
Yeah, so then you're doing homework on the bus, which
never goes well.
Never did homework on the bus. I would say I was, but
I had to write philosophy papers on the bus.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was your choice.
What am I even reading?
That was your choice.
This is gobbledygook.
That was your choice.
I know. I don't know how I got through that. Well, it was probably better than, I don't know. I don't know if it was better than anything. But it's a lot of time, and they have to have good students. That's why you do recruit character, and you do ask around to see, is this kid going to show up to class? Is he going to respond to our text messages? Is he going to be at practice on time? Is he going to be a normal upstate? Because it only gets worse. It's harder in college.
If he isn't going to show up for practice, then that's just another you're not going to show up to practice. You're not going to show up to where you're supposed to be for baseball. Obviously, you have no priority, so smell you.
Yeah, and in your couple years of experience coaching, have you seen a certain type of kid that shows up and then quits within the first year? Do you see red flags with those kind of kids?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I've been pretty fortunate that, I guess it also has to do with I've never been in a place for more than 1 year to see who actually comes back. I mean, I have a good idea, but that was kind of, I think every place that I've been, they've done a good job to retain the kids that you want to retain. Or at St. Leo last year, we came in and there were kids, and it was all right, you guys do baseball a little bit differently than what I was recruited, and to the coaching staff that recruited me, it's a little different now. It's not really for me, which, I mean, I have no bad will against those kids. They were good kids. They worked fairly hard. They did what they were supposed to do. They didn't necessarily do extra stuff, but that wasn't in their nature. We found that out pretty early, and it was all right, we're just going to have to deal with it. And, I mean, at the end of the day, it was as much as I wish, I hate to say, as much as I wish I didn't, he wasn't on scholarship because we could have got somebody else, at the end of the day, we didn't have to cut him. We just kind of separately parted ways. Hey, you're part of our program forever now. There's not, you're not being removed from our program. You're just separating ways. And
wait, what does that mean? I'm confused.
You're not kicked out, banned from our program. If you come to our games, come hang out. If you ever need anything, reach out. But
you're not part of the team anymore.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, that's a good way to part ways. Is amicably.
Fortunately, it wasn't
we're not going to scowl at you. In the hallways.
We're not going to. We don't want to cut your scholarship, and then all of a sudden there's a big fiasco. It's just we're done. Fine.
Yeah. Well, and as I was talking to a couple of your peers, well, not quite, but a couple of our Warbird kids who are home for college, I asked two of them the other day. I'm like, so do you was college volleyball was it everything that you thought it'd be? Now that you've done it for a semester, and of course volleyball, they've already had their first competitive season right away, and they're both kind of and then we all three of us sort of agreed that it's at college and beyond is when your sport stops becoming fun in the traditional sense of fun.
Yeah.
And maybe that's earlier for some kids, I don't know, but
right.
It's hard. You do a lot of conditioning, you do a lot of stuff you don't want to do. It's a lot of long hours, it's very tedious, you have school.
Yeah.
It's the different kind of fun, which...
Especially for volleyball. Baseball, we have a semester to get them acclimated. We're not full go right away where you're missing class for games. You're going to class. We do you do have conditioning, you do have weights, but it's a small build, and then you have practice, and then, you can... Your last 3 weeks of the semester, you can focus on your grades, relax, whereas those girls were just go, and then all of a sudden there's probably 4 weeks left of the semester, and it's like, we have finals soon. Like, I don't even, like, I mean,
what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and just the rigor of college, any sport, insert sport, is just, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's just
most people, like, and I truly, like, liked baseball, like loved baseball. I liked going, like, I was probably one of the few kids that enjoyed going to practice for the most part. I didn't like conditioning. No one does. If anybody likes conditioning, they're serial killer.
You're sick. I kind of liked it. Because I was good at it. I wasn't good at baseball, so I was like kind of good at
Dan
conditioning.
just runs in a straight line and like turns around.
I was really good at baseline to baselines, man. I could do suicides like a champ.
I was not me.
85% effort, just like keep it going. I could do it.
More power to you, but not me. I wanted to puke after like
it's
the
useless.
third one.
Kenny Powers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. It's definitely more of a grind. It's a bigger challenge. A lot of time management. It's just like you're doing a lot, and if you don't really love it and you don't really want to do it, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because you miss out on literally everything. I mean,
miss out on toga parties.
Everything. A good quote from Coach McDonald. Yeah, I mean, you miss out on all that stuff, and you don't get it back. There's no do-over at having a normal social life and like going away for a cool concert over here. Your friends are going to Nashville over spring break, or like doing all these fun things. Like you don't do any of that.
No, you don't. And I mean, hopefully. I mean, your college is like set up to be 4 years. Hopefully, a lot of athletes don't graduate in 4 years. At St. Leo, that was like our priority because of the price of school. It's like, get done in 4 years. Like, there's people here to help you.
Yeah.
So we were trying to like eliminate like no victory laps. Like, it's cool. People were like, oh, if I have 6 hours left, I'll just do it in the fall, and then I get a victory lap. Where it doesn't really set you up for the real world. Get done in 4 years and go get a job.
Yeah,
have fun, and after that.
And people forget that it just costs you money being in college.
Yeah,
it doesn't make. And in this climate more than ever, you can make money in lots of other ways. That school is like, please don't crucify me for saying this, but like school is less relevant probably than ever.
No doubt.
Your kid can grow up and be a star on the internet and do various creative things. Like you could make an Etsy store and be successful.
Yeah.
You could do lots of stuff. As like a young entrepreneurial person, like not do the traditional route where it's like, I'm going to drop $200K on school. It's like less valuable than ever probably because there's so many other things you could do if you really want to scrap it.
Yeah, there's another big thing that my coach at St. Leo would always say, like, he was like, if I get fired from here, one, I want to stay in Florida, but like I'm going to go like learn how to be like an air conditioning man because everybody needs air conditioning and like jobs are kind of going sporadically throughout. I mean,
yeah.
McDonald's now has like the touch screens that are pretty cool. You don't have to interact with people or
robots are coming to replace all of us.
Yeah,
then they're going to become sentient, and they're going to kill all of us. So have your fun and play your baseball while you can.
So before robots take over.
Yeah, but it's weird that everyone's different and everyone has a different mindset. Everyone grows up like my parents grew up in a different generation, obviously. And at various points in my last 10 years, my mom or dad would probably be like, well, would you ever want to go back to school? Would you ever want to do this? Would you ever want to do that? Would you ever, like, and I'm like, why, like, would you ever want to go back to get your master's in, like, nutrition? Which, like, these are, like, good ideas. Like, throw ideas off me. That's fine. But then you think, okay, I could go back and get a master's in kinesiology or, like, get a better exercise qualification and spend 50 G's on it. And what in God's name am I going to do to make that money back?
Yeah,
it's just throwing money away.
And you're not like, sure, you might learn like, all right, and you might learn something, but actually doing it is the best way to get hands-on experience. Is the best way to learn it, which you have. So what are you really going to learn for?
Yeah, and everyone's different. Like if you want to, get your master's and you want to get your doctorate, like makes sense. Like you want to work with a certain type of patient, you need a different certification for, or whatever it is. But there's just a lot of like standard degrees that more school at this climate probably doesn't do you a whole lot of good. Probably not financially going to balance out if you go $60,000 more in the hole, and then you make $5,000 more for 12 years later it's paying off, and then inflation's killed you, and the world's run by robots anyway. So advertising has changed.
Doesn't even
masters
matter.
in advertising doesn't matter because you're the slave making a pyramid for the robot leaders. Like, who knows where we're going in 10 years. Seriously though, this world's crazy.
It's nuts.
I wish I was younger so I could see more of it without being old. Well, ship sailed.
You're old.
Be dead anytime. But no, it's been good watching you grow up and evolve, and you now have facial hair apparently. This is crazy.
I got a goatee.
But like Morgan he was like a 16-year-old kid, and we've known each other 8 years. Just watching you take your path, just like I took mine back in the day, and it's been interesting. So
Dan is now bald, and
God, I'm so bald. You had to reveal that.
I had to.
Bald.
The changes in Dan are he's bald and he doesn't work out. He doesn't like to work out anymore.
Yeah, I'm bald and fat. So,
part of it.
If you're a single woman and you're looking for a bald fat guy, you know where to find me.
With no master's degree.
No master's degree. No education. No hair.
Philosophy degree.
Very overweight. Yeah, exactly. No, it's just. But the hat thing is new. I just started wearing hats because I didn't want to be two bald guys in Warbird with Lucas. Lucas is still the bald. He's been the bald guy. Like he claimed, he put his flag down and being the bald guy. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put on a hat and see how it goes. And I've gotten more comfortable because I've never been a hat person. But I'm like okay being a hat person.
That's fine.
And I'm okay being bald. I don't care. But these are just changes.
Well.
Yep. Well, Morgan, is there any way for our listeners, viewers, to follow up with you?
Yeah.
Track you on the interwebs?
I am on Twitter at, I think it's mdepewju now. I switched it over. And Instagram is mdepew10, I believe. But
okay, I'll flash those. I'll put those in the show notes and on the
Instagram's not very
YouTube.
It's probably private. It's really just pictures. Like there's like a couple pictures of me in the beach because that's where I live, but it's not that interesting. But
okay,
I plan on being.
Don't check out his Instagram because it's terrible.
Twitter, and I plan on in 2019 being more active on Twitter in some sorts.
Okay, sounds good. So follow Morgan. I'm sure if they have any questions, they can always email it to Jacksonville. You can find them on the web,
it's
wherever.
On the website, but it's mdepew@ju.edu. Feel free to reach out. I check it pretty religiously. So
yeah, and I mean, we've had a lot of coaches on the show recently trying to give you different points of view on the recruiting process. So I thought today was cool because some of those ins and outs, like what does an offer look like? What is the scout doing while he's recruiting? Like all these things, I think are important. Yeah. And each of my guests have touched on different aspects from like different angles. So I think it's important to help demystify that a little bit.
No doubt. And by no means like I could have a rule like a little bit wrong, but like these are the rules that I the ways that I follow them. It's not all the rule. It's not, but it's for the most part the rules and kind of how it works. So
yeah,
from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't already, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube, on Podcast Land, wherever you're listening. And follow me if you wish at Coach Dan Blewett on all social media. And thanks for watching here on Dear Baseball Gods, and we'll catch you next week.